She's under arrest.
I have to go with you. I have to go. I have to go. You don't have that choice. Let me help you out. No, I have to stay. Please don't do this.
Take the bags.
Yeah,
You need to wait outside.
okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't
Yeah, I
come with me?
can't. Please, can I help?
No, you can't do anything.
Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's got to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Is that okay with you?
please. Give me that if you can, because we're not going anywhere. Please. Please.
Do you have anything in your pocket?
No, no. No.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No, I
Does she have a necklace on? You
Wanna go?
can take it off.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah.
And the earrings.
And the earrings, the rings, take everything. You give it to your husband. Because once you arrive at County Yale, they're gonna make you remove all that.
can I call my attorney?
You can.
You have a passport already?
Where am I going?
Just open your finger.
Where am I going?
You're going to the Dade County Jail.
They come Yale. No, this is right here. The one on
I'm sorry, remove her earrings.
Yeah. I'll call.
Get in an Uber, go home.
I will.
Take
I
it
will.
easy.
I will.
All right?
Yes.
Here, how?
If there's anything else in her person that she wants to.
Oh, it's coming, sweetheart. I got it's coming. Just a second.
Do you have her driver's license by any chance?
I'm sorry?
Her driver's
It's in my
Yeah.
it's in my purse.
Yeah.
How it is?
Yeah, then you could give it.
Sure.
It's
Do you need her
almost there.
passport? Or can I give it to your husband? The passport can I give it?
What's up?
Where is it?
It's in the blue and white. It's in the blue and white.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get her driver's license for it. Yeah.
And the license, the address on your license is correct?
Yes.
She needs all her.
When she goes
They're
to the jail, they work with the hospital.
They're all in here, though.
Yes, they work. If I take them here, what will happen is when you go there, they toss them out. So when you go to there, you will meet the nurse and the doctor, and then they'll work in conjunction with the hospital to get you whatever you need.
Yeah, but I don't have a list. I know what
Driver's license?
I have a.
Is it multiple or is just one or two?
It's no. There's a bag of medication in here. Is that what you're asking me?
She can take medication.
No, I know. I was just trying to find out if it was like one or two. Yeah, if it was one or two, then she maybe could take the name down.
Do you need anything else from her?
Can I ask
Or
you
we're good to
something?
go?
Can someone just get my husband outside and
So I'll get her.
There's a gentleman here with a system in the way there. Right away,
I'll be okay.
I have
Wait.
the ring. Hold on.
Let me have her ring, please. Yeah. No, I'll okay.
That's crazy.
I love you.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
What if I told you that a grandmother's love could become so twisted, so controlling, that it would lead to a brilliant law professor being shot in his own driveway? That behind the expensive dental practice and Miami luxury lifestyle, a family matriarch was pulling strings that would end in cold-blooded murder? This isn't just another true crime story. This is the chilling tale of how Donna Adelson, a 73-year-old grandmother, became what prosecutors call the architect of one of the most calculated murder-for-hire plots in American history. Before we dive into this disturbing case, I need you to do something right now. If you're fascinated by cases where family loyalty becomes criminal conspiracy, where the person you'd least suspect orchestrates the unthinkable, hit that subscribe button. We're Dark Trail Files, and we don't just tell you what happened. We take you deep inside the twisted psychology of those who thought they could get away with murder. Ring that notification bell, because this case is still developing with potential charges coming, and you won't want to miss a single update. Now, let's uncover how a mother's obsession destroyed everything she claimed to love. July 18th, 2014. Tallahassee, Florida. Florida State University law professor Dan Markel pulled into his garage, returning from the gym. He was a respected legal scholar, a devoted father to 2 young boys, and a man who believed deeply in justice. Within minutes, he would be shot twice in the head while sitting in his car. He died the next day, never knowing that the person who orchestrated his murder was someone who should have been planning birthday parties for his children, Donna Adelson, his former mother-in-law. To understand how he got here, we need to understand the Adelson family. Donna and Harvey Adelson ran a successful dental practice in South Florida. They had money, status, and 3 children, Robert, Charlie, and Wendi. On the surface, they looked like the perfect American success story. But beneath that polished exterior was something far darker. A family where Donna's word was absolute law, and anyone who challenged her authority would face consequences they couldn't imagine. When Wendi Adelson married Dan Markel, both brilliant legal minds working at FSU, it seemed like a good match. They had 2 sons together, but the marriage crumbled, and when they divorced in 2013, a custody battle began that would reveal just how far Donna was willing to go. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a declaration of war, and Donna Adelson was preparing to win by any means necessary. Here's where everything went dark. Wendi wanted to move from Tallahassee to South Florida with the children, to be closer to her parents and brother. But Dan Markel refused. He was a loving father who wanted to maintain his relationship with his boys, so he fought the relocation in court, and he won. The judge ruled that Wendi could not take the children 370 miles away from their father. For most people, this would be disappointing but understandable. Divorced parents make sacrifices. But for Donna Adelson, this wasn't just a legal setback. This was personal warfare. In Donna's mind, Dan Markel wasn't just an obstacle. He was the enemy, and enemies needed to be eliminated. The evidence presented at trial painted a devastating picture of Donna's involvement. She didn't just give advice about the divorce. She controlled every aspect of it. She wrote mediation notes for Wendi. She crafted detailed emails with strategies on how to manipulate Dan psychologically. In one chilling email discovered by investigators, Donna wrote to Wendi suggesting she tell Dan she would raise the children Christian, knowing it would upset him as he was raising them Jewish. The email discussed making the children fit in this Bible Belt and taking them to church, all designed as psychological warfare to break Dan down. But when psychological manipulation didn't work, when Dan still wouldn't budge on custody, Donna moved to a much darker solution. According to court testimony and evidence, Donna approached her son Charlie with what she saw as a problem that needed solving. Charlie Adelson was a successful periodontist who worked at the family practice. He was close to his mother, perhaps dangerously close. Multiple witnesses testified that Donna would constantly discuss Wendi's custody battle with Charlie, expressing rage and frustration that her grandchildren were being kept away from her. The prosecution argued that Donna essentially tasked Charlie with solving the Dan Markel problem, and Charlie knew exactly what his mother meant. This wasn't about legal strategies anymore. This was about something far more permanent. Charlie Adelson's ex-girlfriend was Catherine Magbanua. Katie had connections to two men from Miami, Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. Garcia was the father of Katie's children. These weren't wealthy professionals like the Adelsons. These were men who operated in a different world, men who could be hired to do things that most people wouldn't even consider. The prosecution's case was straightforward and chilling. Donna wanted Dan gone. She pressured Charlie to handle it. Charlie contacted Katie Magbanua. Katie connected him with Garcia and Rivera. And on that July morning in 2014, Garcia and Rivera drove from Miami to Tallahassee, stalked Dan Markel to his home, and shot him twice in the head in his own garage. The payment? Over $100,000. Money prosecutors traced back through the Adelson family. But this case wasn't just about money trails. This was about a family that believed they were untouchable. The hitmen were eventually arrested in 2016. Luis Rivera, one of the shooters, cooperated with authorities and provided devastating details. He testified that he didn't know Dan Markel personally, that this was simply a job. He explained they had been told the hit was about custody, that the lady wants her 2 kids back. Even from a hitman's perspective, Donna's influence was clear. For years, the Adelson family maintained their innocence. They gave interviews. They acted devastated. They attended court hearings for the hitmen as if they were just another grieving family. But the FBI wasn't buying it. And in April 2016, they launched an undercover operation that would eventually unravel the entire conspiracy, an operation known as the Bump. An FBI agent, posing as a member of a Latin organization, approached Donna Adelson outside her Miami condo. He handed her a flyer containing an article about Dan Markel's murder with $5,000 written on it and a phone number. The message was crystal clear. Pay up, or information about your involvement goes to the police. This was a test. An innocent person would immediately call the authorities. But what did Donna do? The first person Donna called wasn't the police. It was Charlie. On recorded wiretaps, Donna tells her son about the encounter, her voice tense and worried. "I got some paperwork hand-delivered to me," she says. She insists they need to talk in person, not over the phone. This is the behavior of someone who knows they're guilty, someone who's been living in fear of exactly this moment. Charlie's response was equally damning. He immediately called the number, trying to determine if this was a real threat or law enforcement. On that call, the undercover agent mentioned Tato, Luis Rivera's nickname, and Tudo, Sigfredo Garcia's nickname. These were the hitmen, and Charlie knew exactly who they were talking about. After the call, Charlie met with Katie Magbanua at a restaurant called Dolce Vita, and the FBI recorded everything. The audio from Dolce Vita was initially difficult to hear because of background noise, but forensic experts enhanced it years later. What they found was absolutely devastating. Charlie discussed the bump with Katie, saying things like, "How do you get people to talk? You throw a smoke grenade and get all the cockroaches to run out." He was admitting they were trying to flush out informants. He was treating a murder investigation like a chess game he thought he could win. Most damning of all, Charlie said, "If they had any evidence, we would have already been arrested." This wasn't confusion. This wasn't an innocent man trying to understand a strange blackmail attempt. This was someone who had been waiting for law enforcement to make a move, someone who knew exactly what evidence might exist against him and his family. Days later, Donna herself called the undercover agent. In that recorded conversation, she pleaded with him, saying, "I know it isn't me, and I can't take this kind of level of stress." But notice what she never said. She never said, "I don't know what you're talking about." She never said, "I had nothing to do with any murder." Instead, she tried to negotiate, tried to convince the agent to leave her alone. The FBI played the recording of this undercover operation in court, And what jurors heard was chilling evidence of a family that knew exactly what they were hiding.
Black shorts. What is it? Yeah. Okay, bye.
Excuse me, Mrs. Adelson? How you doing? Just want to give you this. Listen.
You're scared.
Good, don't be scared. Listen, I just want to let you know that we know that your family has been taking care of Katie and her friend who moved up for quite some time after your problem up north that was resolved. And I want to let you know that my brother, he's incarcerated. He helped your family with this problem you guys had up north. And we want to make sure that he's going through some rough times. We want to make sure that you take care of what he's going through, the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuzo. Well, this will explain it. Thank you.
Pause it, please. Does the defendant remain under surveillance for some time after this?
She does.
Okay, we see her take the paper from the undercover and fold it and put it into her purse. Does she ever take it out and look at it before she gets back into her building?
Not that we ever saw, no.
And does she make any phone calls once she goes back into her building?
When she goes back into her building, she does.
And who is the first person that the defendant calls after the bump?
Charlie Adelson.
Right, is that call A?
It is.
Okay, publish call A, please.
Hey, Hans. Tonight after work or some other time in the very near future, I need to speak with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Did someone write a letter to you or something?
I've got some paperwork hand delivered to me.
You're being sued?
No, that's what I thought it was, but I'm going to need to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay? So, I mean, I can be, I'll have to figure out something. Depends how late you'll be, wherever you are.
Well, I'm in Mitch Klein's office on Park Boulevard.
Okay.
So I'm right now in Silent Chili, and I'll be at his office in the afternoon.
Okay. So the boys who finished their piano lesson around 4-ish, and they have the traffic over there, and they take a ride with them up there.
Does Dad know about this?
The dad did work today, fortunately.
What's is it IRS?
You know, those IRS people, they're kind of foggy sometimes, but, you know, fortunately not now.
Okay.
So I will talk to you. I'll give you a heads up if I'm going to drive up that way. Okay? And,
Is Wendy down there? Is it involved Wendy?
No. So let me just talk to you later, and if
What is it? Is there health okay?
yeah.
Does it involve me or other people?
Well, probably both of them.
What's that?
Probably the two of them. So you probably have a general idea what I'm talking about. So let's just find some time to talk to each other and take the boys for a ride, okay?
You're going to take the boys up there?
No, they can come home. We can get here till about 7 when Dad gets here.
So this morning did you talk to me today?
Or tomorrow, and it's important.
Alright.
What's the blow?
I'll be up at Mitch Klein's office. You want to come up? Oh yeah, for really late.
I'm just concerned that I just have to get up there and get back in time for Lindsay to get them. Sometimes she gets out a little earlier, but not because it's kind of not here.
Can I ask you a question? Whose paperwork sent from?
I see that, that's great. I was something that came hand to hand to me. I asked it to go in today.
Is it anonymous or?
No, oh no, it's not anonymous. It's not anonymous. I just don't want to discuss it. Oh, it's fine.
Right, whatever it is. It's silly, but if you want,
I wouldn't bother you, trust me.
yeah. Do you want me to come down to see you tomorrow? I get the day off.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Dad actually works later tomorrow. You know, he goes in at 1 o'clock. We both work out at the gym from 9:30 to 10:30. So
Whatever it is, I'll take a look at the paperwork.
Yeah.
I hope it's not the IRS.
I just would like you to review it and give me some input into what your thoughts are. Okay? So come down tomorrow. Dad leaves at 12, so anytime after 12 would be good.
12 tomorrow.
Yeah, he leaves at 12. He starts at 1 there, so 12, 12:15.
I'll come down after that. I can hang out with you and see you soon.
That would be great.
Perfect. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Love you coming by.
Would you describe the defendant's demeanor on this call as really calm?
Yes,
She says Dad's at work, fortunately.
she does.
Does she indicate that she's in fear on the call?
No, she does not.
She was handed a piece of paper that had an article about the murder of Dan Markel, right?
Correct.
That's what the interaction was about.
That's correct. That's what he handed her and made reference to it.
And when Charlie asks the defendant what it's about, what does she say?
She says the both of us,
Probably both of us. Probably the two of us.
and then the two of us. Said it twice.
Does she say the name Dan Markel on this call?
No, she does not.
Does she say the name Dan Markel anywhere on this wire?
No, not that I recall.
Did she report this incident to the police?
No, she did not.
This bump operation revealed something crucial. The Adelson family wasn't just connected to this murder. They were conscious of their guilt. Their reactions, their phone calls, their attempts to manage the situation all pointed to people who knew they had orchestrated something terrible and were desperately trying to keep it hidden. As the investigation deepened, the FBI and prosecutors began building an airtight case. They had wiretaps. They had the bump recordings. They had testimony from the hitman. But they needed more. They needed someone from inside the Adelson family to speak. And eventually they got it. Robert Adelson, Donna's eldest son, took the stand in a moment that would devastate the family. His testimony painted a picture of who really controlled the Adelson household.
Thank you. Could you tell us your name and spell your name for our court reporter, please?
Sure. Robert Todd Adelson, Adelson.
Thank you. And what state do you currently live in?
New York.
And how long have you lived in New York?
13 years.
Okay, so since maybe 2012?
Yes.
All right. What do you do for a living in New York?
I'm an ENT.
Okay, so you're a nose and throat doctor?
Yes.
And how long have you worked as an ENT?
For 20 years.
How do you know the defendant in this case, Donna Adelson?
She's my mother.
And Harvey Adelson's your dad?
Yes.
Wendi and Charlie Adelson are your siblings?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
In Coral Springs, Florida.
Is that a bit north of Miami?
Yep.
About how long of a drive?
About an hour north of Miami.
Okay. When y'all were growing up, did you all, the five of you, live in the same house as a family?
Yes.
And who's the oldest child?
I am.
Okay. Who's the middle child?
Charlie.
How many years between you and Charlie?
3 years between Charlie and I.
And then who's the youngest then is Wendi?
Yes.
And how many years between Charlie and Wendi?
3 years.
Okay. When you were 18, did you move out of the Coral Springs house?
Yes, when I went to college.
Okay. And did you go to college at University of Florida?
I went to Tulane.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Did you live in Gainesville at some point?
I did, yes.
Okay, thank you. So after you went to college at Tulane and then went on to med school, went on to residency, throughout those years, did you continue to talk to your parents and your siblings on a regular basis?
Yes.
And would you see them a couple of times a year?
Yes.
When you were in school, would you go home for the summer?
Yes.
Based on your personal observations throughout your life of your parents and of your siblings, who is the leader in the family? Who tends to run the show?
I think my mom.
Okay, so Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Would you describe Donna Adelson's personality as being more controlling or more laid back?
I think more on the controlling side.
What about, is she kind of a more assertive person or a more passive person?
More assertive.
What about your dad, Harvey Adelson? What's his personality like?
I think he's more passive, more go with the flow.
Okay. So they're kind of opposites in that way a bit?
Yeah.
When you and your siblings were growing up, was Donna Adelson a very involved parent?
Yes.
And when I say involved, as far as with your life and with your friends and with school and with that type of thing?
Absolutely.
Did she have certain fixed ideas throughout your life of certain things she wanted to happen in you and your siblings' life?
Yes, absolutely.
Was it acceptable if you decided to not do those certain things that she was fixated she wanted you to do? Was that acceptable to her or no?
No. I think she had certain sort of rigid, fixed ideas or impressions for what she wanted for us, and if you went along with that, things were fine. If you didn't, things were not fine.
Did she have strong opinions about who you all married and what you all did for a living and those types of things?
Yes.
And you're obviously a doctor. Was that an acceptable profession to her?
Yeah, that was okay.
Okay. And was that one of the reasons you became a doctor?
Yes.
Okay. How involved was Donna in yours, Charlie, and Wendi Adelson's life after you grew up, became adults, and had kids of your own?
I think still involved.
Was she more involved with your life, Charlie's life, or Wendy's life, would you say?
Probably more involved with Wendi and probably to a lesser degree with Charlie.
Okay. And then would you be she's the least involved with your life out of the three?
Yeah, probably because I was older, but sure, I agree.
Okay, so you're the oldest child. You're out of the house before the other two?
Yep.
Okay, and then you also lived other places after you went to college throughout the rest of your life?
Yes.
Now, was this like a healthy level of involvement that she had with the three of your lives, or was it more of like a micromanaging as you saw it?
I think it was certainly between over-involved and controlling. It probably lended itself more toward controlling, but in various realms, more or less. But I think certainly that was a tension.
Okay, so a little more on the controlling side.
Yes.
And does that include your personal lives as far as your relationships and in your professions, your jobs?
Yes.
Was it Charlie who always needed more attention than the other two children?
I think so, yes.
When did Wendy's life start becoming one that she needed to pay or give more attention to?
I think when she had some troubles in her marriage, I wasn't aware there were any troubles in her marriage until Wendi left. But I think around that time when she had two young children, I think that was when she became more involved. And I was, at that point living, a pretty good distance away.
Okay. Were you living in Philadelphia at the time?
Yeah, but first in Philly and then in New York where we live now.
Okay. And so Charlie always got a lot of attention, and then Donna also started giving her attention also to Wendy's life once Wendi starts going through the separation or divorce.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. From your interactions with Donna Adelson through your whole life growing up and even as an adult, would you describe her as someone who's mentally sharp, thinking about things from all angles, or is she someone who's a little more gullible? Yes, sir.
Objection is sustained. You may continue with your examination.
Were Charlie and Donna Adelson dependent on each other or pretty independent from each other?
I would say Charlie was probably somewhat dependent on my mom to help him out with organizing stuff, his dental practice. I think he probably relied on her a lot.
Okay. And you mentioned the dental practice. When you were growing up, who owned the dental practice?
My dad.
Okay. And throughout your life, was Donna Adelson in charge of the money at Adelson Institute?
I wouldn't know the inside workings of it, but I always remember my mom signing the checks and writing the checkbook at the table, when I was back in middle school or high school. So.
Okay. So even back then, she would do some bookkeeping or payroll type things at home.
That's my memory of it.
Okay. And then, did the dental practice? You said it obviously started out at Harvey's. Do you remember a time when Charlie Adelson took over?
I remember my dad making a joke about him having a very understanding boss because Charlie was now his boss. So.
Do not testify to what others have stated out of court. You may testify as to your knowledge, but not what someone else specifically said. The objection is sustained. You may continue.
I understand you were telling us how you remember that, but can you just tell us around what year do you remember that happening?
Around 2012, Charlie purchased the practice.
Okay, and then was there a time that you remember Charlie somehow selling it back to Harvey Adelson as then becoming the head of the practice again?
I will permit you to answer the question if you have knowledge of this matter.
My memory of that was sometime in fall to winter of 2015 to 16, somewhere right around there. That's my memory.
Okay.
Robert's testimony was crucial. He described the family dynamics, how Donna reacted to Dan Markel's refusal to let the children move, and conversations that place his mother at the center of the conspiracy. This wasn't easy. Testifying against your own mother rarely is. But the evidence was overwhelming, and Robert's account corroborated what investigators have been piecing together for years. Then there was Wendi Adelson, Dan's ex-wife, the woman at the center of the custody battle that became the motive for murder, also testified. Granted immunity, Wendi took the stand and denied any knowledge of a murder plot. But her testimony revealed uncomfortable truths about how much her family hated her ex-husband and how desperately they wanted the custody situation changed. In one particularly revealing moment captured shortly after Dan's murder, Wendi made a call to her mother that investigators would scrutinize for years, looking for signs of prior knowledge.
Okay, here it goes. This is the worst day of my life. Maybe I should text them if I can't reach them. Hi, Mom. How's it going? Mom, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine. I need you to sit down. I'm fine, and the boys are fine. Danny has been. You can put me on speaker. Yeah. Danny has been shot. And I don't think he's gonna make it. And so I know. So I found this out around 1 or 2 today, and I'm at the police station, and I'm trying to help them figure out who may have done this. The boys are fine. I had Lynn and Alan pick them up from school, and they're with Lynn and Alan right now. And I'm gonna leave here soon and go be with them. But I really need you to come here and be with me. But I want you to either fly, obviously you can't leave right now, but I need you to get yourself together. If it's too much to drive, I'd really rather that you flew up. I'm at the police station, and I'm gonna leave soon and be with the boys before they go to bed. They're with Alan and Lynn, and they're totally fine. Yeah, the boys are fine, but they don't know anything yet. In his house, I know. So I just need you to calm down before you get in the car, okay? Okay, so, and it's, it's evening, so if you want to come here tomorrow, I have a lot of people that'll, be here with me, and, we'll have a lot of support. So I want you to take your time and just be safe in getting here, but I'd like you to come when you can, okay? Yeah. Okay, all right. I love you. I think Jane might, I have the car here, but Jane might take me. I'm not going to be alone, so I have a lot of support, and I'll be fine. Yeah, if you could just come here, that would be great. He's in the ICU in the hospital. Okay, but be careful, okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, love you too. Bye. Mom. Oh.
You did awesome with that call.
Thanks.
You were so stressed out about it, and you handled it.
If he goes to the house,
Sorry, my mom might be calling back because she heard me. Mom? You did, yeah. I just wanted to ask if you could just tell Charlie for me. I just don't want to be making calls right now, so if you could just tell Charlie for me, that would be great. Okay, and just, it's on the news a little bit that there was a shooting on Trescott, and so I'm starting to get a lot of calls, and I'm not going to be answering them unless they're from you, so I would really try not to tell anybody what's going on just yet, just because, he's in the hospital, and Charlie, I talked to Charlie earlier today, obviously before any of this happened. I talked to him at 10 this morning, and he said that he was coming to visit you guys this weekend, and he had plans, and he sounded good. I just can't, Mom. So can you just tell him? Yeah, just tell him for me, and then I'm sure I'll talk to him soon. But I don't want to be on the phone unless I have to right now. Okay? Okay. All right. Love you too. Bye. My mom handled that pretty well. Could you hear her?
Yeah. I think, because you're a mama, but moms always go in that natural instinct to kind of protect and help and...
Yeah. I'm waiting to hear from you whenever you can. That's Jane. When she said she's here if I need company or a ride, do you think she meant here, metaphysically, or here, in the lobby?
No, I think I would hope metaphysically. And again, remind me, Jane's the neighbor down the street oh no, Jane.
Whoa. What kind of a rude way to say it.
Wendy's behavior throughout this case raised serious questions. She made statements shortly after the murder that seemed oddly specific. She mentioned details that seemed unusual for someone who claimed to know nothing. And remarkably, 2 years after she mentioned a broken TV during police questioning, Donna would use TV as code in wiretap conversations. Coincidence? Prosecutors didn't think so. To this day, Wendi has not been charged, but she has been named as an unindicted co-conspirator, meaning prosecutors believe she was involved but don't yet have enough evidence to bring charges. Charlie Adelson went to trial in November 2023. The evidence was overwhelming. The Dolce Vita recordings, the phone calls, the money trail, testimony from Katie Magbanua, and the hitman. The jury deliberated for just 3 hours before finding him guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. He was sentenced to life in prison. For Donna Adelson, her son's conviction was a nightmare. Days later, prosecutor Georgia Kappelman was asked if anyone else would face charges. Her response was ominous. Stay tuned. Donna heard this, and Donna panicked. Within 48 hours, Donna and Harvey made a decision that sealed her fate. On November 13th, 2023, 1 week after Charlie's conviction, they were arrested at Miami International Airport with one-way tickets to Vietnam, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. They were planning to stop in Dubai, another non-extradition country. The timing wasn't subtle. The destination wasn't subtle. This was a grandmother fleeing justice. FBI Special Agent Pat Sanford, who had investigated this case for years, was at the airport when Donna was arrested. State Attorney Jack Campbell later explained they had to move fast. When I woke up Monday morning, I did not expect to make that decision that day, Campbell said. Not only were they leaving the country, but I have reason to believe that I might not be able to easily gain their appearance in court in the future. Donna's defense attorney would claim the Vietnam trip was just a vacation to clear their minds. But the evidence told a different story. Rushed visa applications. One-way tickets purchased immediately after prosecutors hinted at more arrests. A destination carefully chosen for its lack of extradition. In recorded jail conversations, Donna had even discussed fleeing to a non-extradition country. The pattern was undeniable. Donna Adelson's trial began in August 2025. For 2 weeks, the courtroom became a stage where a decade of secrets, lies, and manipulations were finally exposed. Prosecutors presented a mountain of evidence. The FBI bump recordings, wiretapped phone calls, testimony from hitmen, testimony from Katie Magbanua, Robert Adelson's testimony, emails between Donna and Wendi plotting against Dan, financial records showing large money transfers, and testimony from jailhouse informants who claimed Donna had confessed. One jailhouse informant testified she spent 6 to 7 months in custody with Donna and that during daily conversations, Donna admitted her involvement in orchestrating the murder. Another informant testified about Donna's attempts to manufacture false testimony. The defense argued these women were unreliable, but their testimony aligned perfectly with everything else prosecutors presented. Chief Assistant State Attorney Georgia Kappelman methodically laid out the case, describing Donna as the architect of the plot. She argued that Donna had the means, the motive, and the control over her family to orchestrate this murder. She presented emails where Donna tracked Dan Markel's travel since her grandchildren were born, strategized ways to manipulate him, and expressed rage at the court's custody decision. Throughout her time in custody, Donna made claims about her treatment that seemed designed to garner sympathy, but prosecutors argued it was all part of her continued manipulation.
Okay. And then she named a package that she wanted. And she's out. She was gone. She was just that fast. That fast.
Okay. How bad would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you rate the pain at the time that she did that to you?
Oh my God, it was a 10.
Okay.
I didn't know my arm could reach that far back.
Okay. And what did you do after she did that to you?
So, kind of stood there for a minute, and then I just thought, okay, I'm going to go back to my bunk. And I went back to my bunk and got under the covers, and I cried. I just stayed under my covers. I didn't come out.
Okay. Where were you at, first of all, when that took place?
In October. So I was in the bathroom. It was 10:30 at night. I went in to brush my teeth.
Okay.
There are three sink stations in the bathroom. Each one has 4 sinks. And I was at the center station with my back to the door, and I'm a righty, so I was holding right hand, and I was balancing myself with my left hand on the sink, just brushing my teeth. That's all I was doing.
And what happened?
And my left hand away from the sink, and twisted my arm and like jerked it behind my back, like with my neck.
Okay.
And
did it hurt?
Yeah, it hurt.
Okay. What happened?
It hurt. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she's, in the same breath that she did that with my arm, she said, "You're going to buy me commissary." I said, "I'm going to what?" And she said, "Those pretty white teeth knocked out of your mouth, you're going to buy me commissary." 9 or 10, somewhere in the morning.
Okay, and when she told you that she didn't have any sick call forms for you to request a Band-Aid and you would need to get it from the night nurse, approximately what time does the night nurse come?
So the night nurse comes anywhere from 11:30 to 2:30 in the morning.
11:30 p.m. to what time?
2:30 a.m.
To 2:30 a.m.
Right.
And in the meantime, you were supposed to use the feminine pads?
I called my husband. He told me to elevate my arm, to wash it.
The defense tried arguing that Donna was just a meddling mother, not a murderer. Defense attorney Jackie Fulford told jurors she said some ugly things and she meddles in her children's lives, but poor language isn't proof of murder. They claimed there was no direct evidence placing Donna at the scene or proving she ordered the hit, but the jury wasn't convinced. After 8 days of testimony and just over 3 hours of deliberation, they reached their verdict. On September 4th, 2025, the jury foreman announced guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation of murder. When the verdict was read, Donna cried out, "Oh my God," and sobbed uncontrollably. She shook in her seat as reality sank in. The judge had to temporarily remove the jury and warned her that further outbursts wouldn't be tolerated. It was a stunning fall for a woman who had lived in luxury, who had controlled her family with an iron grip, who had believed she was untouchable. After the verdict, cameras captured Donna in the courtroom, a woman whose carefully constructed world had finally collapsed.
Witness stand. Please raise your right hand as best as you can. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Yes. You may take the seat. Please speak loudly and clearly. You may examine Mr. Zellman when you're ready. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record and make sure you speak into the microphone?
Yes, Donna Adelson.
Now, I want to direct your attention, we heard the call earlier. The call on November 7th of 2023 at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and for the record, that was call number 561. Do you remember where you worked?
Yes, I was in my apartment, in my living room.
Do you remember who was present when you got the call?
Yes, my husband, Harvey, and friends of mine, my attorney, Susan Brotman, and her husband, Richard Chagrin.
You said your attorney. What kind of law does Ms. Brotman practice? Or did she?
She does estate planning.
Was Ms. Brotman present at your apartment for the purposes of providing you with legal counsel?
Yes, she was.
And do you remember receiving the call from Charlie?
Yes, of course.
And where was Charlie at the time?
So he was in a room by himself. It was after the conviction.
Was he in jail?
He was in jail.
Okay. What did you do when you saw that Charlie was calling?
Answered the phone.
And you heard the recording that we played earlier?
Yes.
And you agreed for your call with your son to be recorded, correct?
Yes.
As the call was happening, do you know at what point Charlie was no longer on the call?
No, only when because I was talking, and then all of a sudden I asked him something, and I said, "Charlie, do you hear me, Charlie?" And I said it a few times, and he didn't respond anymore, and I knew the call was over.
Now, in the course, during the time that your son was incarcerated in Leon County Jail, did that happen more than, was that a frequent occurrence?
Yeah, it happens. It happens a lot, unfortunately.
Okay. And would there be times when you didn't realize at first that he was no longer on the call?
Yes.
Where in your apartment were you when this happened?
So I was in my living room.
And you heard your voice on that first call number 562, when you repeated, "Charlie, Charlie, are you there?"
Right.
Did you believe the call had ended?
Yes.
And in times prior to this, what would happen after that? What would you do when that would happen?
If he didn't respond anymore, that was it. The call was over.
And what would you do with your phone?
I'd hang up.
Now, same thing with the call on November 8th of 2023, the one at 6:38 in the morning. Do you know at what point your son was no longer on the phone?
I don't. I don't remember
In either one of those situations, or in both of those situations, did you believe the call was over?
Yeah, the call was over. He was gone.
And you went about your business?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the November 7th, 2023 phone call when your attorney, her husband, and your husband were present at your apartment, did you agree for your attorney-client conversation to be recorded?
No.
Did you agree for your conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No, of course not.
Now, the following day, did you agree for your subsequent conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No.
Now, you heard the recording. To consent to this call, press 1. Or recording of this call, press 1. Correct?
Correct.
You hung up the phone after those calls were over.
Thought I did.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Good morning.
So there in the room with you during this call was, you said your one of your attorneys, Susan Brotman, your husband, and then also Susan Brotman's husband.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And he was not your attorney?
He was not.
Your attorney?
No, he's not an attorney.
Okay. You were informed at the beginning of that call, this is the one on November 7th that recorded you while they were all in the room. You were informed that you were being recorded if you accepted that call?
Yes.
Okay. And that if you do not want to be on that recorded call, that you needed to hang up the call. Is that right?
Are you saying, does the recording say...
Right. If you do not want to accept that recorded call, you should hang up.
If you do not... Yeah, no, I accepted the recorded call.
Okay. And you typically do hang up your calls, you said, after
I mean, I think I
Your
did,
call
yeah.
to Charlie Adelson when he was in custody. All right, but this particular call that day, evidently you did not properly hang up, right?
Evidently.
Okay. And have you ever forgotten to press the button on a call before?
I mean, it may have happened. I don't know.
Sure. Has your phone pocket dialed people before?
Has it what?
Pocket dialed people before? When you've been out of custody.
Pocket dialed?
Right.
I don't know what you mean.
Like if your phone is in your pocket or in your purse and it accidentally calls someone you didn't mean it to?
I mean, that could have happened, sure.
Okay. And you also could have not pressed the button on your cell phone to end a call before, right?
It's possible.
Okay. It's not quite as big of a deal as it used to be when you would actually have to hang up the phone.
Right.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Redirect examination.
Briefly, Your Honor. The consent that you gave for the call to be recorded, when did that end?
It ended when Charlie hung up, or when whatever stopped the call. I mean, I don't know how it stopped, but it stopped. When the call was over with Charlie, it was over.
Nothing further.
You may step down.
Ruth Markel, Dan's mother, delivered a powerful victim impact statement. We have lost a treasure. My son Dan's life was cut tragically short at 41 years old, she said, her voice breaking. For 11 years, we have been forced to live a life filled with unimaginable pain and heartbreak. She spoke about the grandchildren she had been cut off from seeing. After arrests began in 2016, Wendi had severed all contact between Dan's parents and their grandsons. She even changed the boys' last names from Markel to Adelson. The cruelty of erasing their father's name while their paternal grandmother stood convicted of orchestrating his murder wasn't lost on anyone. On October 13th, 2025, Donna Adelson returned to court for sentencing. Dressed in a purple jail jumpsuit and shackled, the 75-year-old grandmother finally addressed the court. What she said was remarkable, not for any admission of guilt, but for her absolute denial. My son-in-law, Dan Markel, was a fine and decent man, Donna began. He was a good son-in-law. More importantly, he was a caring and loving father. His death is a loss to his children, his parents, all of us in his family. My heart was broken when Danny died. Then her tone shifted dramatically. It's interesting that the state cannot decide who they believe to be the mastermind behind this, she said. They claim that this grandma, was the mastermind. She questioned the evidence, challenged the prosecution's case, and proclaimed her innocence. Where's the evidence prior to the murder? What happened to Danny is unforgivable, but I am an innocent woman convicted of this terrible crime without evidence. I've never gotten a parking ticket, but I'm going to prison for a murder I did not commit. Donna's sentencing statement revealed what many saw as a complete lack of remorse and continued denial of responsibility.
She can remain at council table.
Thank you. I'm going to move the microphone. Because this is not amplified.
Okay. Is this loud enough, Judge?
I can hear you.
Thank you for letting me speak. My son-in-law, Dan Markel, was a fine and decent man. He was well educated and passionate about his career. He was a good son-in-law, but more importantly, he was a caring and loving father. On July 18th, 2014, his car was followed, leaving his home. It should have been just like any other day, an ordinary day in the life of Ben and Lincoln's father, but it wasn't. He didn't know when he left his boys off at daycare that would be the last time he would see them, and the last time they would see him. He didn't know when he went to the gym afterwards that would be the last time he would exercise. And he didn't know when he drove home that his life would end within minutes. Danny wasn't just being followed, he was being hunted. He was brutally murdered in broad daylight, sitting in his car, in his garage, by vicious killers. I cannot imagine the terror he felt when he saw a gun pointed at him through the window of his car. I cannot conceive of his heroic efforts to stay alive during the hours after the attack. Danny died in the early morning hours of July 19th. His death is a loss to his children, his parents, his sister, all of us in his family, his friends, his colleagues in the legal community, and to his students at FSU Law School. Danny's boys each have a photo of themselves with their Abba, their dad, beside their beds. They grew up kissing the framed photo and saying, "Good night, Abba, I love you." The pictures and memories are all they have because cruel, cold-hearted people took him from all of us who loved him. My heart was broken when Danny died. My grandsons were going to grow up without the father who loved them. I wondered, how could we help these boys through this trauma? It was then that my husband and I knew that the best way to honor Danny's memory would be to share with these children an abundance of love, the love that Danny would have given them if he were alive. It is interesting how the state can't make up its mind about who is what they call the, quote, mastermind behind this murder. In both of Catherine McBano's trials, the state claimed she was the mastermind behind Danny's murder. In my son Charlie Adelson's trial, they claimed he was the mastermind. And now in my trial, they claimed that I, this grandma, was the mastermind behind the murder. I had no idea that other people planned to cut Danny's life short. And the people who did this are exactly where they deserve to be. But I had no knowledge that this horrible, evil act was going to take place. If I had become aware of this plan before Danny was murdered, I would have stopped it. With not one iota of actual evidence, the state convinced the Tallahassee jury that I solicited and conspired with other people to have Danny killed. Where is the evidence prior to the murder? The evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the state needed to prove their case. Where is the evidence before July 18th, 2014 at 10:50 in the morning?
Before you continue, Mrs. Adelson, as it relates to this statement, is the defense trying to re-argue the trial?
No, Judge, just giving Adelson an opportunity to be heard.
Mrs. Adelson, you certainly can continue. However, the court can take into consideration the utter lack of remorse that you are displaying. Please proceed if you desire to do so.
Where is the evidence before July 18th, 2014 at 10:50 a.m. that revealed that I had any involvement in this vile and horrific act? Where is the solicitation and conspiracy evidence? The state needed to show that there was evidence before the murder to convict me. The state couldn't show that because there wasn't any evidence. They were trying an innocent person. It makes you wonder if the jurors were sleeping when the state had Sergeant Corbett on the stand for hours. Their own star witness testified that my phone was never, I repeat, never at my son's house on the night of the murder. The state's theory that my husband and I dropped off money to my son was blown out of the water by their own witness. And yet, the state continued to push that story, that lie of the so-called money drop to the jury through the remainder of the trial. And the jury bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Reasonable doubt. Many months ago, my attorneys filed a motion for a change of venue. An expert witness testified that Tallahassee had been barraged with over 9 years of negative social media, printed news, television news, and podcast publicity about my family. He explained to the court, both with evidence and demonstratives, that for me to receive a fair trial, it needed to be held in any of the researched and designated areas in the state of Florida other than Tallahassee. All I wanted was a level playing field, but the court wanted the trial here, in the hotbed of Tallahassee. I sat through 3 days of jury selection. 180 potential jurors were asked if they had developed an opinion in my case. Those that answered yes also added, "I believe she is guilty." Not one person, not one, said, "I think she may be innocent." That should have been a clue to the court to grant our motion for a change of venue, but the court denied the motion. One of my jurors admitted during jury selection that she had background information concerning what one of the state's witnesses would be testifying about. Why was she allowed to be on my jury?
What moment?
Another juror...
Mrs. Fulford,
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Mr. Zellman, again, this has nothing to do with elocution of any sort. This is a raising of grievances, which are properly given to the appellate court. What does any of this have to do with sentencing?
Just one moment, please.
The judge interrupted her multiple times, warning that her statement showed an utter lack of remorse, and this would be taken into consideration. When her attorneys asked for leniency, the judge was unmoved. These were not crimes of chance or opportunity, he stated firmly. These crimes required you to conspire with your son and others. You certainly can choose to deny your involvement and maintain innocence. The court finds the evidence in this case is clear. Harvey Adelson also spoke, passionately defending his wife. He accused the judge and jury of being biased. You're sending an innocent person to prison, he said. You have taken my wife and my life as well. And for what? This is not justice. Harvey's emotional defense of his wife stood in stark contrast to the overwhelming evidence the jury had heard.
Thank you, Judge, and respected officers of the court for allowing me to speak. I have been Donna Adelson's husband for over 50 years. My wife sacrificed everything so that she could pour her heart and soul into our children, our grandchildren, and our marriage. This summer was our 54th wedding anniversary, and I had to spend it without her, hand in mine. She has done nothing wrong, and yet is being punished for a crime that she did not commit. I thought we lived in a different kind of world, but I guess I was wrong. I have listened, watched, and sat in the courtroom for the entire trial, and I could not help but scream in my mind by the witnesses that were brought forward by the prosecution who told outright lies. I didn't know that you could lie in a courtroom, but apparently you can. Danny's parents contend that they have never seen their grandchild. But for years they say they've never seen her. But Wendi has shared with me pictures and videos and letters from their visits. They have suffered immensely at the loss of their son, but they also contend to tell lies to the court about our grandchildren. Donna has always been a loving and caring wife and is innocent of the charges. A biased judge and jury were influenced by years of one-sided news pieces and social media.
Dr. Ms. Fulford, this has nothing to do with the character of the defendant or relates to sentencing.
May I just one moment, please?
Go ahead.
Oh, all right, thank you for letting me continue. Donna did not participate in the heinous acts that she was convicted of doing. You are sending an innocent woman to prison. You have taken my wife and you have taken my life as well. And for what? This is not justice. It is vengeance, and it is wrong.
You have an examination for Dr. Adelson.
No, Your Honor. No, Judge.
Any other witness statements that you wish?
But the evidence spoke louder than Harvey's protests. The judge sentenced Donna Adelson to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the first-degree murder conviction, plus an additional 30 years each for conspiracy and solicitation, to be served consecutively. At the defense's request, the judge said he would recommend Donna be placed in a facility as close to Miami as possible so Harvey could visit. It was a small mercy in an otherwise crushing sentence. Even facing life in prison, Donna maintained her innocence with a defiance that shocked many observers. Her statements in court weren't just denials. They were accusations that the justice system itself had failed. She questioned how the state could convict her without what she called real evidence. She painted herself as a victim, an innocent grandmother caught in a terrible miscarriage of justice. Perhaps no moment captured Donna's psychology better than when she stood before the court and proclaimed her innocence with unwavering conviction, despite everything jurors had heard.
What happened to Danny is unforgivable, but I am an innocent woman convicted of this terrible crime without evidence. Danny was a brilliant legal scholar. He would have been appalled at the total lack of justice that went on during my trial. He would have been embarrassed to have his name associated with any of it. There are two crimes here. The first was Danny being viciously murdered. The second one is taking my life, the life of an innocent woman. Convicting me should not be retribution for Danny's death. That is not justice for Dan. I've always respected the law. I've never gotten a parking ticket, but I'm going to prison for a murder I did not commit. I do intend to file an appeal so that hopefully I have the opportunity to be given a fair trial outside of Tallahassee. 11 years ago, Danny was murdered and taken from all of us who loved him. For the past 9.5 years, the state has broadcast to the world, including Danny's parents and sister, that I hired hitmen to kill him. Never in a million years would I have wanted Danny to be harmed or killed, nor could I ever do something that would leave these two small boys to grow up without him. I love these boys more than life itself. This is a lifetime of loss for these children. They didn't deserve this. His family didn't deserve this. Danny didn't deserve this. And so, as I appear before you today, Your Honor, I promise you with my whole heart, I swear to you on my life, I was not involved in any way with Danny's murder. I was not.
Gents have any further argument to make?
This defiance raises profound questions about the psychology of someone like Donna Adelson. Does she truly believe she's innocent? Has she convinced herself that orchestrating a murder through others doesn't make her responsible? Or is this simply the final act of control, refusing to give prosecutors and the court the satisfaction of an admission? Psychologists who study familial criminal conspiracies note that matriarchs like Donna often see themselves not as criminals, but as protectors. In Donna's mind, she may have genuinely believed she was protecting her daughter and grandchildren from Dan Markel. She may have convinced herself that Dan was the real villain, that he was destroying her family by keeping the children in Tallahassee. In this twisted logic, eliminating Dan wasn't murder. It was salvation. But the law doesn't recognize such distorted justifications. The evidence showed that Donna had options. She could have supported Wendi in accepting the custody arrangement. She could have encouraged the family to make the best of the situation, to visit Tallahassee regularly, to maintain relationships despite the distance. Instead, she chose violence. She chose to end a man's life rather than accept a legal outcome she didn't like. Donna Adelson is now the fifth person convicted in Dan Markel's murder. Luis Rivera, one of the hitmen, is serving 19 years after cooperating with authorities. Sigfrido Garcia, the triggerman, is serving life in prison. Catherine Magbanua, the go-between, is serving life. Charlie Adelson is serving life plus 60 years. And now Donna, the matriarch prosecutors call the architect of it all, is serving life without parole. But one name still hangs in the air: Wendi Adelson. Dan's ex-wife remains uncharged despite being named an unindicted co-conspirator. After Donna's conviction, prosecutor Georgia Kappelman was asked about Wendi. Her response echoed what she said after Charlie's conviction. You can stay tuned. The question haunting this case is simple but profound. How much did Wendi know? Did she ask her family to solve her custody problem? Did she know they were planning to kill her ex-husband? Or was she manipulated by her controlling mother, kept in the dark about their darkest plans? The evidence is complex and disturbing. Text messages between Donna and Wendi after Charlie's conviction suggest Donna believed she had protected her daughter. "Your brother protected you for years," Donna texted. "Now you're not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you." In another text, "Everyone looks to protect you." What did that mean? Was Donna saying the family deliberately kept Wendi out of the conspiracy? Or was she saying Wendi had been protected by careful planning and legal strategy? We may never know unless Wendi is charged and a trial forces these questions into the open. Think about what Donna Adelson actually did. This wasn't a crime of passion. This wasn't a moment of rage or fear. This was calculated, planned, and executed over time. It required pressuring her son Charlie to handle the problem. It required financial resources for the hit. It required maintaining the facade of innocence for years while investigators circled closer. And then, for nearly a decade, Donna lived her life in Miami. She watched her grandchildren grow up. She worked at the dental practice. She attended family gatherings. All while Dan Markel's parents were cut off from their grandsons, while Dan lay in a cemetery, denied the chance to see his boys become men. What drives someone to this level of evil? The prosecution argued it was about control. Donna had always controlled her family. Her children deferred to her on major life decisions. When Dan Markel refused to let the children move, he wasn't just challenging a custody petition. He was challenging Donna's authority. He was saying no to the matriarch. And in Donna's world, that was unacceptable. Dan had to be removed, not just defeated in court. A custody case could drag on for years, could be won or lost on appeal. But eliminate Dan, and Wendi would automatically have full custody. The children could move to South Florida. The family could be reunited under Donna's watchful eye. It was all so simple in Donna's twisted logic. It was a plan born of narcissism and entitlement. The Adelsons were wealthy, successful, respected. They ran a thriving practice. They lived in luxury. They were used to getting what they wanted. When a legal system didn't give them what they wanted, they circumvented it in the most extreme way possible. They hired hitmen. They paid over $100,000 to have a father murdered, and they thought they would get away with it. For years, it seemed they might. The hitmen were arrested, but the Adelson connection wasn't initially proven. Katie Magbanua's first trial ended in a hung jury. The family continued their lives, continued to proclaim innocence. But the FBI never stopped. They kept digging, kept recording, kept building their case. And eventually, through wiretaps and undercover operations and testimony from those who participated, the truth emerged. On that October day in 2025, as Donna stood before the judge to receive her sentence, she maintained her innocence. But the evidence had spoken. The jury had spoken. Justice, delayed by over a decade, had finally arrived. Donna will spend the rest of her natural life in a Florida prison. She will never walk free. She will never attend her grandchildren's graduations or weddings. She will never see Miami Beach again. Her attempt to control her daughter's life, to control custody of her grandchildren, to control every aspect of her family's destiny has ended with her losing control over everything, including her own freedom. The Adelson family, once wealthy and respected, is now synonymous with one of the most shocking murder-for-hire plots in recent American history. Their name appears not in society pages, but in crime documentaries and podcasts. Their legacy isn't dental expertise or community service. It's murder, conspiracy, and the destruction of innocence. Two young boys will grow up knowing that their paternal grandmother, uncle, and possibly others in their maternal family conspired to kill their father. They will have to reconcile whatever love they felt for these family members with the horrific truth of what those family members did. Dan Markel's parents will never recover from this loss. Ruth Markel spoke in court of the treasure they lost. Phil Markel addressed Donna directly, referencing a Jewish tradition of wishing others live to 120 years. For Donna, he said, "I wish her to live to 120 alone in her jail cell. I wish that every day of her remaining days, she thinks about the harm she has caused to so many, especially those two boys she claims to have loved so much. That might be the cruelest irony of this entire case. Donna claims she did all of this out of love. Love for her daughter, love for her grandchildren, love for her family. But love doesn't hire hitmen. Love doesn't order executions. Love doesn't destroy innocent lives to get what it wants. What Donna felt wasn't love. It was possession. It was control. It was a narcissistic belief that her desires mattered more than anyone else's life. And in the end, that belief cost Dan Markel his life and cost Donna Adelson her freedom. The Donna Adelson case reminds us that evil doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes evil wears the face of a grandmother. Sometimes it sits at family dinners and attends birthday parties. Sometimes it runs a successful business and lives in an expensive condo. But underneath that respectable exterior, evil can be planning, manipulating, and destroying lives without remorse. As this case continues to develop, with questions still surrounding Wendi Adelson's potential involvement, we're reminded that justice, though sometimes slow, can be relentless. For over a decade, the Adelson family thought they had escaped. They were wrong. One by one, those responsible have been brought to justice. And perhaps, if evidence supports it, there are more arrests to come. If this case has taught us anything, it's that no one is above the law. Not wealth, not influence, not family connections. Nothing can protect you when truth finally comes to light. Donna Adelson learned that the hard way. At 75 years old, she will die in prison, a cautionary tale about the darkness that lurks in the human heart when control and obsession replace love and compassion. This is Dark Trail Files. If you found this deep dive as disturbing and fascinating as we did, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button if you appreciate thorough, fact-based coverage of complex cases. And share this with anyone who follows the Dan Markel case, because this story isn't over yet. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay curious, and remember, the truth always finds a way.